And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are talking about NFL draft prospect Carson Schwesinger, linebacker out of UCLA. We're going to be talking about if he would be a good fit for the Washington Commanders. And so before we go ahead and jump into it, I first wanted to remind you to hit that subscribe button. Just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Deebo Samuel, he's going to be hitting Terry McLaurin and a lot of other wide receivers for many touchdowns this upcoming season. So in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. So make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. And so we are looking at NFL draft prospect Carson Schwesinger, linebacker out of UCLA. And so it looks like that his draft stock is rising. And so I went to ESPN. I saw this article. It's on ESPN Plus, and it is titled 2025 Draft Notes and Intel, What Adam Schefter is Hearing. And within this article, there is a section that says who could be drafted higher than most think. And it talks about Carson Schwesinger, who is listed as a round 2 pick, but he is linked to maybe going in the first round here. It states, the Washington Commanders at 29 and then the Buffalo Bills at 30, and just saying that both teams looking to upgrade their defense there. And so Carson Schwesinger, look, I liked what I saw from his highlights. I think that this is a player that point number one, just his instincts and timing on the blitz, I think it was phenomenal. I think that is one of the things that you initially see with him is just his ability to, I think, just get downhill with the blitz. I think that once he figures out, when the ball is snapped or whatnot, like his quickness and his ability to get home, I thought that was point number one. He really moves with a purpose when it comes to getting downhill, especially on play recognition. Number two, I think the next thing that really kind of jumps out at you when you watch the things that he's done is just the athleticism. He's not a guy that is super big, but man, he uses his athleticism. And it's interesting because we talk about running backs and we talk about being elusive, like he's almost that type of player, but on the defensive side of the ball, meaning this, like he understands just how to make a quick move or something like that, kind of get through the gap and get to the place he needs to get to. So I like that about him, just his ability to really use his athleticism. And then talking about that athleticism a little bit more, his ability to play in coverage, like it looks like he's very fluent there. Like he's definitely a player that I could see that, look, if you have to put him into a zone coverage or you need him to cover, I think that he's a player that certainly could get it from day one. Obviously, he's going to need to get better going against, NFL players and things like that, whether it's running backs or wide receivers. But man, he showed, I think, a lot there in the clips that I saw. And then we're going to go into the stats too, with his ability to get out and cover. And so that is the next point. The fourth point that I like about him is that he was a special teams ace. I think that he played on special teams a couple seasons, maybe 3 seasons there. I saw where he blocked a punt as well. And that is huge because what that is showing you is that if he doesn't project as a day one starter and he becomes just a rotational piece, you could use him on the special teams from day one, especially when it comes down to blocking field goals or you need somebody to get out there and cover kickoffs and things like that. Like that is excellent right there, that you get a player that you can plug into your special teams. And that is huge because, look, the special teams game, if you can make a play in special teams, you can flip the field there. If players try to run the ball out, he's the first one to get there. I just talked about his athleticism and really the speed, so he can help you there. And then we're going to talk about that he can also generate some turnovers because here's his stat line. So 2022, look, he only had 15 total tackles, 13 solos. He had 2 assists, right? Didn't have any sacks, forced fumbles, interceptions, but man, 2023 to 2024 is where it started to kind of kick in for him. So came back, he only had 12 total tackles, 6 solos, but then this last season, 136 total tackles, 90 solos. He had 46 assists. He had 3 pass deflections. He had 4 sacks. He had a forced fumble and 2 INTs. I mean, this guy, look, he was special in 2024 for UCLA. And I mean, I think he led the Big Ten in tackling. So that is huge. Just seeing that this guy is a tackling machine. And so that is another point that you have got to love about him, just being a tackling machine. And then another thing that I like too, and just looking at his NFL draft buzz profile, is this is a guy that, look, he made the fall academic honor roll as well. So a guy that takes the studies very serious. And I love that because when you're talking about, football, you're talking about just not only dominating physically, but also too, you got to be able to get in and do the homework. And I think that this really translates as well. And so this is a guy that I think is certainly going to be that guy that I think he fits the Commanders' bill as far as being one of the first ones in, maybe the last ones to leave, as far as just getting the details of the game. And so I think his play recognition, that I think that really shows. So definitely you could tell he's paying attention to the details of the game or whatnot. And so I think that, one of the issues that they talk about with him, and I saw this on NFL.com, his draft profile there, and then also to NFL Draft Buzz. But they say that, look, because he's undersized, he really struggles when bigger defenders kind of come up. And so him kind of getting off of those blocks could be an issue there. One of the things in the NFL Draft Buzz profile that they say is sometimes he comes downhill a little bit too quickly, can kind of get caught in the backfield there and maybe overrun some things. So that is another thing that they talk about too. And then, when it came down to just what he would do naturally as a fit, one of the things that I saw was that maybe he's just going to be a player that could be a rotational piece, and you're really banking on the fact that he's going to get to his upside. And so I think that there's a chance really that he could get to his upside too, because, he started off as a walk-on. So that's one of the things that, I wanted to mention as well, is that he started off as a walk-on and then he earned the scholarship. And then from there, it looks like that he just constantly got better. And so I think that, just playing this much as a starter was probably something where it was new to him. And so I think that, yes, he's going to have to grow a little bit more, but there's a ton of upside and a ton of things to like here. And I can definitely see why he's probably starting to get a lot of the draft buzz as a player that could go day one because of that athleticism. And so, that once you get him into your program, as far as, the weights and stuff like that, you anticipate that he's going to get a little bit bigger. But that's one of the things that you have to wonder about too, that if you do put, more size on that way, is he still going to have that type of athleticism to get home? And so I think that this is a guy that you probably, I don't know what his 40 time was because I didn't see that, but I would say that if you look at the highlights and things like that, he looks like a player that gets to his thing quickly. So he has some good, I think, football speed for sure. And I think that translates. And then when you talk about, just his sheer strength and things like that, one of the things I did see is that he did 20 reps on the bench. He also had a 39.5 vertical, so not bad there. So like I said, very athletic, very quick, needs to get a little bit more size. You wonder how much more he can put on without hurting his athleticism. But I think it would be an interesting pick. I think he starts off as a rotational piece if the Washington Commanders were to get him. And I think that this is the type of guy that maybe Adam Peters would take a chance on. And this maybe is the type of player, when you're looking at some of the drafts or drafted players that Adam Peters has taken with San Francisco, getting players in the later rounds and things like that. I think that Carson Schwesinger is that type of player. Maybe he could be an impact. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking here. Would you like to see the Washington Commanders go out and get Carson Schwesinger? Do you feel like he would be a great pick for the Washington Commanders and really maybe a future linebacker piece for this team? Because I think that is what you're really looking to do with him, is he would have to grow into, hopefully, being an every down type of linebacker and hopefully a foundational piece for the defense. And so love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, go Commanders. I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.